Black History Month is being celebrated around the country, including right here on the Texas Tech campus. Coming up, we'll take you to one event that gave attendees a history lesson on one very important group of African Americans.
The 2020 presidential campaigns are in full gear as candidates prepare for next week's Super Tuesday primaries. MCTV's Uvier Bacomo has the latest stories from the campaign trail along with a look around the world in this week's weekly news roundup.
And the Texas Tech baseball team continued their winning ways with a midweek sweep at Danlaw Field. We'll have the details on both games along with a look at what's next for the Red Raiders in sports.
This is the MCTV Weekday Update.
Welcome to the Thursday edition of the MCTV Weekday Update. I'm Bryant Torres.
And I'm Kamryn Mendoza. The month of February is Black History Month. Over the last few weeks, Texas Tech has held several events to bring attention to the role of African Americans have played in our country's history.
That's right, Kamryn. And yesterday, one of this year's final events focused on a group of people who played a big role in the founding of the Western U.S. Buffalo Soldiers, Men, Mission, and Material Culture took place yesterday afternoon at 3:30 in the library's Crossland Room. During the event, Henry B. Crawford, the former curator of history at the TTU Museum, gave a talk about the history and the importance of a group of men who served in the U.S. military after World War II. The group known as Buffalo Soldiers was made up of African Americans who fought in the Indian Wars in the late 1800s. Crawford also had historical artifacts on the hand to help educate attendees on the weapons, uniforms, and other items that soldiers would have used while serving our country. Yesterday's event also included refreshments, and it was free and open to the public.
Right across from the library, students who might be thinking of making a change of residence after the spring semester had a chance to learn about all the options at the annual off-campus housing fair. This year's fair was held yesterday in the Sub Ballroom from 10 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. The fair featured representatives from apartment complexes and property management groups to help students learn about all they have to offer. Many of the booths at the fair featured free swag, giveaways, and even games students could play to learn more about the properties. The annual off-campus housing fair is hosted by University Student Housing. This year's fair was originally scheduled for earlier in February, but winter weather conditions caused the event to be rescheduled to this week. If you missed yesterday's fair but are still interested in learning about housing options both on and off campus, just visit housing.ttu.edu.
Throughout the school year, colleges and departments across campus bring in guest speakers to give students the chance to learn from professionals in their chosen field. And yesterday, one of those events helped students learn how one of their favorite pastimes could possibly lead to a future career. Yesterday afternoon, the Department of Journalism and Creative Media Industries hosted the first event in their new video game industry speaker series. This week's lecture featured Dr. Ben Midler, a data scientist who works for Electronic Arts. Midler spoke to a group of students at 4 p.m. in room 053 of the Media and Communications building. Midler talked about how his time in college helped lead him to a career working in the gaming industry. He also talked about how EA is using data science to help improve and develop gaming titles. Midler also took questions during the event, giving students the chance to find out more about a job in the gaming industry. Yesterday's event was only the first of several speakers the JCMI department plans to bring in this year. Another event is currently being planned for later this spring.
Students here at Texas Tech can spend their entire college career here on campus and still not know about everything the university has to offer. But a special event held each semester is helping students learn how to take full advantage of what they're paying for. Last Thursday, the Department of Transition and Engagement held their biannual Texas Tech SPO in the Sub Ballroom. Beginning at 10 a.m., students were able to attend the event and learn more about everything happening on campus. Over 45 TTU organizations and services came out to inform students of resources available to them. Each organization had tables set up with representatives available to answer questions. Many of the groups at the Tech SPO also had games and prizes for the students to win, along with some other opportunities to have some fun.
We try to make it as interactive as possible. Financial aid, for instance, is doing cornhole. We've got the rec. They're pitching a tent in there, and they're teaching people how to have the students learn how to do that in there. So it's just a cool way to show off what the students are getting here at Tech.
If you weren't able to make it out to the spring edition of the Tech SPO, you can learn more about all that the university has to offer by visiting studentengagement.ttu.edu.
The Lubbock area experienced a couple of days of cooler conditions, making for a chilly commute for our students heading across campus.
That's true, Bryant, but there's some big changes in store as we head into the weekend. MCTV's Lexey Hopkins joins us in the studio with the latest look at the forecast. Lexey?
So we did see a chilly morning on Thursday, but as the afternoon progresses, we will be seeing the temperatures rise up, giving us those spring temperatures that a lot of us have been looking forward to. I know that I have. But as we take a look at today's highs, a high of 64. It will be sunny and warm today with southwesterly winds at 5 to 15 miles per hour. Cooling off as we go into tonight with our lows being 31, clear and cold with northeasterly winds at 5 to 10 miles per hour. And then jumping into Friday, we will see those temperatures increase a little bit, but nothing too drastic. As Aspermont will be seeing a high of 70, going into Spurs seeing a high of 68, and then traveling up north where they will be seeing cooler highs, 64 in Plainview, 62 in Dimmitt. And then as we go into Friday night, you do want to make sure that you have your jacket with you as the temperatures will be pretty chilly. Nothing compared to the wintry temperatures that we were seeing before. 32 for the low in Morton, 32 in Plainview, and then going to the southeasterly area, 38 in Post and 37 in Dickens. And if you are traveling this weekend and you do have those travel plans all around Texas, it will be a pretty weekend. As we take a look at our highs in Midland at 70, going into Dallas at 68, Austin and San Antonio area seeing a high of 71. And then the temperatures will cool off as we go into the night with Austin seeing 44 for their low, 42 in Dallas, and then traveling closer to home where we will be seeing those 30-degree lows again, 39 in Midland. Taking a look back in the Lubbock area for our weekend forecast, we'll be seeing a high of 67 with a low of 36. Northerly winds at 5 to 10 miles per hour. The cloud coverage, there will be a little bit, nothing to worry about. As we go into Saturday, the temperatures will increase a lot, seeing a high of 74, a low of 44, southwesterly winds at 10 to 15 miles per hour. And then bringing in March, we will be seeing on Sunday a high of 76, low of 47 with westerly winds at 10 to 15 miles per hour. Those winds are expected to increase throughout the day going into the night, bringing in that cloud coverage. So we will be seeing those warmer temperatures throughout the weekend going into Monday, but unfortunately taking a look at Tuesday, there is going to be a decrease in the temperatures. That's a look at our forecast. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Lexey. The 2020 presidential election is still almost 9 months away, but the race for the Democratic nominee is well underway.
MCTV's Uvier Bacomo has an update on that story and a look at international headlines in today's weekly news roundup. Uvier?
Thanks, Kamryn and Bryant. Last week, intelligence officials warned House lawmakers that Russia was interfering in the 2020 campaign to get President Trump reelected. During a briefing to the House Intelligence Committee, President Trump's allies argued he had been tough on Russia and strengthened European security. Speaking of the 2020 election, Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders claimed a major victory in the Nevada caucuses on Saturday. Senator Sanders had a lead that was more than double his nearest rivals, and the Associated Press named him winner on Saturday evening. The results established Sanders as the frontrunner for the Democratic nomination. On Tuesday night, 7 candidates gathered in South Carolina for the 10th debate of the 2020 primaries. The next debate is scheduled for March 15th in Phoenix, and the next primary is this Saturday in South Carolina. On the international front, one country is finally putting their political election to rest. After 5 months of delayed results, President Ashraf Ghani was declared winner of the presidential election in Afghanistan. The election was held in September of 2019 in the midst of a record number of Taliban attacks. The result was widely challenged and threatened to create a political crisis with a potential U.S. peace deal with the Taliban. One thing not coming to rest is the coronavirus, which is spreading across continents. Europe confirmed its first major outbreak of the coronavirus, with over 150 cases in Italy. This outbreak prompted officials to lock down at least 10 towns, close schools in major cities, and cancel sporting events on Saturday. The virus has infected more than 78,000 worldwide and killed more than 2,400, nearly all in China. The Center for Disease Control and Prevention announced a level 2 travel alert for Italy and has recommended travelers practice enhanced precautions if visiting the country. That's all for this week's News Roundup. Back to you, Kamryn.
Thanks, UVA. The second-ranked Texas Tech baseball team is on a roll early on this season after knocking out their midweek competition at Dan Law Field. The Red Raiders welcomed the Southern Jaguars to Lubbock on Tuesday with a 13-2 blowout. Tech continued to rack up runs yesterday afternoon and finished with another clear win of 10-2. Sophomore Hunter Dobbins struck out 10 batters through 5 innings, and junior Dylan Noisy went 4 for 5 with 3 RBIs in yesterday's victory. After Tuesday and Wednesday's games, Tech has now outscored its opponents at home 88-16. That number comes after only 6 games played at Dan Law Field. Up next for the Red Raiders is a road trip to Tallahassee, Florida to face 2 tough opponents. Tech will take on undefeated Florida Atlantic tomorrow afternoon at Dick Hausner Stadium. First pitch is set for 1 p.m. Then on Saturday, the Red Raiders will face one of the nation's top teams as they take on the number 9 ranked Florida State Seminoles in a 2-game series. Game 1 will start at 5 p.m. on Saturday, followed by Game 2 at noon on Sunday. Both of those games will be broadcasted on ACC Network Extra.
Tech baseball may be having a great week, but the men's and women's basketball teams are both in recovery after losses on the road. On Tuesday, the Red Raiders took on the Oklahoma Sooners in Oklahoma City. Tech struggled from the tip, with Oklahoma scoring first and never letting up from there. The Red Raiders went into halftime down by 10 points, and they didn't have much luck fighting back in the second half. Losing 51-65, Tech's 51 points scored was a season low, and the team only scored 33.3% from the field and went 5 for 15 on the 3-point shots. The loss brings Tech's season record to 9-6 in conference and 18-10 overall. Luckily, the team is still sitting all alone in 3rd place in the Big 12. Up next, the team returns to the USA for the first of their last 2 home games of the year. The Red Raiders will welcome the Texas Longhorns to town on Saturday at 11 a.m. If you can't make it out to the arena, you can also catch the game on ESPN.
Lady Raider basketball also headed to Oklahoma this week for the 2nd game in their series against Oklahoma State. Tech blew out the Cowgirls here in Lubbock at the end of the month, but OK State decided to make up for that loss with a defensive showcase in Stillwater. Tech started off strong, outscoring the Cowgirls 24-18 in the first quarter, but from there it was all Oklahoma State as the Cowgirls held the Lady Raiders to only 34 points through the rest of the game. At the end of the night, OK State took home the win 74-58. But one bright spot of the game was Brittany Brewer, who scored 25 of the team's 58 points, along with 8 rebounds and 5 blocks. The Lady Raiders return home this weekend with hopes of getting back in the win column against number 25 ranked TCU. Tip-off is set for Sunday at noon with TV coverage on FSN. If you're looking for an escape from the grind of midterms, there are not many options better than the School of Art's landmark galleries.
Each of the galleries continuously displays works from artists here on campus and beyond. Layered Voices, Process, and Paper in Contemporary Native American Art is currently on display in the SOA Landmark Art Gallery. The exhibit features creations from 7 Native American artists using printmaking, drawing, and collages. The works explore the depths of the selfhood, community, and the modern world, and how historical events have shaped attitudes toward Native American culture and identity. The exhibition is also being displayed in conjunction with an upcoming literature symposium that will be taking place next weekend here on campus. If you would like to see the Layered Voices exhibit, you can stop by the Art Building's landmark art gallery between now and March 15th.
So Brian, since the weather is going to be a lot nicer, do you have any plans for the weekend?
Just to get out more, just to go walk around campus and enjoy the fresh sunlight, you know, because it's been very cold as of late, you know, you got to take it in.
That Lubbock weather. That's all for today's edition of the MCTV Weekday Update.
Thanks so much for joining us, and be sure to check ttuhub.net every day for more news. We'll see you next week.